So anyways, yeah, I messed up yesterday somehow, didn't get the recording, and it was just I was like, what?
It
Like,
happened
yeah, oh
yesterday.
yeah.
There was issues with technologies all around on my end. So you know what?
Oh really?
And yeah, you kind of go with it, right?
Oh yeah. What can you do? You only live once. This morning I came in, I was recording, and for some reason I was getting an echo, and I couldn't. There was a cord plugged in the wrong place that somebody had done, and tried to double mic somebody, and it was just a nightmare trying to find out where it was plugged in and what was going on.
Oh,
So
okay.
it
Yeah.
was one of those things, but we got through it, got it all figured out and sorted, and we're good to go again. So
That's good. That's
and today
perfect.
I was doing a interview with the premier, so it was it was a bad day to have things not going right, but it worked
Yes.
out. So anyways, I should start it out, say I'm Rob McGowan with Life Radio, and this is Diana Ash. We talked yesterday, but we're gonna do it all over again because I messed it up and deleted her just like that. Just imagine. Maybe you could introduce yourself. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll introduce you a little bit. I found you. I was going through. We both belong to a group called Rise Up, and I seen your post on there. You've gone through cancer a couple of times, and you had some rings on there, the Olympic rings. That's what caught my attention. So maybe you could tell some people the story behind your Olympic rings.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me back on here, Rob. And yeah, my story. So I am a two-time ovarian cancer survivor. So I was diagnosed at the age of 33, and that was almost 2 years ago. And I had to go through chemo. I did the surgery. I went through chemo the first time around, which was extremely difficult on so many levels, physically, emotionally. It really sort of took a toll on me. So the second time around, when my cancer came back, I had to go back through 4 rounds of chemotherapy. So knowing that, I really, it was important for me to celebrate those small successes along the way to sort of help me through. And that's where those rings sort of came about. It's that every time I finished a round of chemo, which was 3 weeks long, 3 different types of chemo drugs, and that's combined with all the hormonal injections, the immuno injections that I was taking, and all the pills for nausea. So, every round, every 3 weeks that I got through that, I told myself I'm getting myself a little ring, and they became my chemo rings. So that's sort of what helped me get through that difficult period of my life.
Oh, we went through this a little bit yesterday, but I was thinking for people who cancer affects a lot of families. A lot of families go through it, but there's a lot of people haven't gone through it, and they're going to go through it. And like the effect when you first walk in and find out about it, you were saying that you felt kind of like you didn't believe it was not real to you.
It wasn't, because I always considered myself a healthy person. I never had any serious health issues growing up. I was very active. I was eating a healthy lifestyle. I wasn't a smoker. I wasn't drinking. So it's, I was part of the varsity track team. So, it just didn't make sense to me when I walked in there and they said, well, you have cancer. My response was, well, no, you have the wrong person. You guys did a mistake, because it can't be. I kind of went in denial, and I think part of it was the shock of it too. It was just like, well, I can't comprehend how this could happen, but cancer doesn't discriminate. It can happen to pretty much anybody. And we're seeing it more and more, especially across like the younger generation, that a lot of healthy people are sort of being diagnosed with different types of cancers. And, it's the reality of today. It's no longer a disease of, the old age. It's affecting everybody, unfortunately, in one way, shape, or form. Whether if it's not you directly, it's usually, there's someone in your close circle that has been affected by cancer.
And you must get tired of talking about it. I suppose everybody that talks to you and goes through your journey wants to know about what it felt like. And I was sort of yesterday I talked a little bit about this, but about faith and what it meant to you going through cancer, and how it supported you and your upbringing, and how that played a role in when something like this affected you. Having faith, did it affect you at all?
Absolutely. So in terms of sharing my story, for me, if it can help even just one single person out there, I'm happy to share it over and over again, because I do believe that, the pain of my experience is now a survival guide for somebody else. So if I can share what I've learned through this journey, I'm more than happy to do so. And in terms of faith, I've always been a very spiritual person. I grew up going to a Catholic school. My godparents are Catholic. So I went to church, during mainly the big holidays, Christmas and Easter. But then when I went through cancer, it sort of really reconnected me with God in a different way. The second time that I got my cancer, the response that I got from the doctors was, well, it's going to take an act of God in order for these numbers to go down. So, I was put on the palliative floor and I saw things that, nobody necessarily wants to see. And that's where, I really connected with God again. And it's unfortunate that I almost had to go through that situation to get to that point. And it made me realize that, God's there for you during the good days and the bad days. And, he's always by your side. So, it definitely helps you get through, especially those difficult moments that you're going through and you feel alone. There's an extra force that's there supporting you, pushing you through.
Wow. That's something I know. There's a lady who calls, I told you this yesterday, she calls me up at the station, Maisie Nash, and she's going through cancer treatments right now. And she'll call me up and she always seems so positive. And so she just says, oh, God's with me. I can take care of it. I'm happy as can be. I'm just always sort of like, wow, I don't know if I could handle it that way. It's quite amazing.
It's, and I have respect for people like that too, because, it's not always easy. And,
I can imagine.
especially when you're in it, you get like your mind goes to dark places, right? So it's, you have to make a choice every day to be like, this is who I choose to be. I choose to be a fighter. I'm going to get through this. Cancer has completely changed my perspective on life and sort of what I want to do in my life. So, I had to make that choice too, to tell myself that, I need to get through this. So, I'm gonna change my mindset around it as well too. And it's not to say that I did that alone. Like, it definitely takes a community and support in order to be able to do that. That definitely helps a lot when you're going through these situations.
So did you find that when you were done, did you believe it's really done, or do you still live in fear a lot?
I've chosen not to live in fear because I can't control what's going to happen or not happen. Is it at the back of my mind? Absolutely. Especially like there are certain periods in the year, like April for me is a difficult month. That was the year I got diagnosed almost 2 years ago. So I relive it. Those events, it goes through my mind. So yes, it comes, but I push it out in the sense that, there's no point in me stressing myself over something that I can't control. So I try to choose to focus on the good, to choose what I want to do in my life. The reality is that we don't know how much time we have here, right? You and I spoke about this a bit yesterday, is that anything could happen. So, do I want to live in worry, or do I want to make the most of the time that I actually have here? That's what cancer made me realize, is like, there's so much more that I want out of life. There's so much more that I want to give back. And now's the time to do it.
Wow. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you were saying that you had no idea it was coming, because there's a beautiful picture of you by this big cross, and I can't remember where you were, but it's an amazing picture, and you look like you're in the fittest of health and everything's great. And you were saying that's 2 weeks before you got your diagnosis.
2 weeks, exactly. That was in Guatemala. And so the picture, there's a volcano behind the cross. And the day before that picture, we actually climbed that volcano. So, I physically, I was in good shape. I was tired. I didn't realize it at the time. I was a little more fatigued, but, I just put it to like, well, I've been traveling a lot. I've been working a lot, so I didn't think anything more of that. But, that was 2 weeks before my diagnosis, and I came back, and 2 days before I was running. That's why it was so hard for me to accept.
So is there something you've noticed about people and a different aspect towards how you feel towards people or look at people now that you've gone through something like this?
For sure. Like for me, when I was diagnosed, the incredible amount of support that came from that, from, people who I didn't even know, people that I hadn't spoken to in years, sort of, they stepped up and they were like, let me help you in any way that I can, whether, it's preparing meals for you, driving you to appointments. And it blew my mind. It's like, it made me realize that I'm not alone in this fight, and the power of a strong community and how you can grow from that, and how it can really push you to places where you don't think you can go. It's like suddenly you have this army of people who's fighting with you. And it made me have faith in humanity again, because, we're so focused on the news and everything that's going wrong in the world, but there's so much good out there. And if you're willing to see it, I think people want good as well too, so it's out there for sure.
Wow. Well, I can't imagine going through something like that, but I know that God has a funny way of playing into it. I remember last year I was thinking I'd like to help more people and do more stuff, and you know, talking to God about what can I do to get involved with doing that stuff. So then a couple weeks later, my house burns down. I'm like, what? How does this make any
Wow.
sense? So it's like,
My
but
goodness.
when it burnt down, what it did was it took away all my stresses and burdens and work, because everything was involved around this house. It was like keeping up with the mortgage and the car and whatever, the whole.
Yeah.
And after the perspective came in, like, what am I? This is none of this matters too much anymore, and it changed my whole way of thinking. And then next thing you know, I was put into this place to help on this radio station, and talking to so many people like yourself and changing the world. It's always just been something I've always wanted to do, and somehow he just put me in a place that, here, go do it. And I'm not the most religious guy in the world, which is kind of funny. I have deep faith in God, but I'm not a church going guy.
Okay.
But it's just strange how God puts you in places to do things, and I think that's talking to people like yourself, and you're working out and spreading your message. You're trying to let people know that God can make a difference. So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, it's about, being in those positions where it really sort of shifts your perspective on things. And, for me, it's like, I don't believe that we necessarily have to hit rock bottom every time to learn. We can learn from each other. And I think that's part of the reason why I think it's so important for me to share this story, is because if it can help somebody else, I'm more than happy to do so. And it connects me with other people who are also, everybody's going through their own challenges. And I think it's really important to connect on that. And through this journey, I've understood the importance of a strong community, of having, a support group that's there to help you develop on so many different levels. That's where sort of my focus is now, in terms of, my business is focused on health and wellness, but it's also a self-development program where it develops people to become, not only good in their business, but good with their relationships, good with their health, good with every aspect of their life, because your life is a combination of many things, that really make you who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Well, everything we do each day determines where we're going, right? Sometimes I think people, they wake up and they're always holding on to everything that's keeping them back, and they're so stressed. And so each day you got to get up and say, is there something I can do about this thing? If not, move on to the next thing. And just because time has a way of healing stuff. If you think back years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, to some terrible thing that you were going through and thinking this is never going to end, it's terrible, well, where's that thing gone? You know what I mean? Time has a way of healing everything. So each day just get up and say, okay, what can I do in a positive way to make my life better today, and make the world around me just a little bit better. And once you get on that sort of purpose of life, your life changes. You become more full of joy, full of God, I guess you could say, or however you want to put it. And that's
Absolutely.
the way I look at it. Yeah.
It's about purpose. It's about dreaming a bit bigger too. We get so caught up in the rat race that we kind of forget, the simple things in life. And it's sort of, stopping for a moment. And I think we spoke about this yesterday. COVID has done that for a lot of people. It's like suddenly it's making people realize what's really important and what's not, and sort of giving back, and figuring out what it is that I want to do with my time that I have here. We make excuses for ourselves that, I'll do it later, or, I'm too old for this right now. But the reality is, like, no, you're here, you're breathing now, you have an opportunity. So, go out there and find what it is that you want to do, your purpose. And, your purpose can change over time. But what is your purpose right now? What is it that you want out of life in this moment? And go after it.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes people get caught up in it, think it's not working out. Well, move on to the next thing, fail big. We talked about that yesterday. Fail big, go out, fall right on your face. There's a great speech online, I think, by Denzel Washington. He's talking to some university students, and he's saying, Edison went out and failed 1,000 times, but nobody remembers. They just remember that light bulb. They remember nothing
That's
else.
it. That's it. The only thing,
fail.
not trying. So get out there and, do what you think is right. Listen to your body. That's the other message that I always have for people, is like, your body's talking to you, whether it's telling you that you're ill, whether you have to do something more. Listen to what your body is telling you. It's guiding you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we have an
Mhm.
inner sort of presence that just says, yeah,
Exactly.
people know when they're going down the wrong path. I don't
Yes.
know. We sense it, we know it,
Mhm.
and sometimes we just go against it anyway. It's like, oh yeah, well, I just want to do this. I don't know why I want to destroy myself or do this, but I'm going down this path. But we know the right way to go, and it's funny how sometimes it takes a tragedy or something to get us pointed around and start
Mhm.
talking to God again or whatever it is, to open our eyes and say, wait a minute, there's something more to this life. And now for the whole world, it's been this COVID ordeal, which has really sort of opened the eyes of everybody saying, wait a minute, there's something a little more important than all our cars. Because really, when you think about it, you buy a new car or a new truck, 6 months later, your buddy gets a new truck and it's got the bigger screen or the new Bluetooth, whatever wasn't available when you bought yours. All of a sudden you start thinking, oh, I really want another new truck. Or you start getting this longing for the next new thing. You buy a house, your brother buys a house with a pool, the family's visiting him. It's like, oh, I got to get, so you never win. You're always in this rat
Oh,
race of
you're
finding that
chasing.
thing that's going to fulfill you.
Absolutely. And those are two things there that you mentioned. One is the material things. It's short-term gratification. It makes you happy for a short period of time, but things are moving so fast. You look at technology, like there's something new coming out all the time. So if
Oh,
you're trying to keep up with that, like you're running a never-ending race when
yeah.
it comes to that.
And you're
And if
always
you're,
going to lose. You're setting yourself up to
yeah,
fail. I do
you
this
are.
children's show on Wednesday nights, and I try to talk about that. If you start thinking about having the best of each thing, you're just dooming your kids to failure, because you got to teach them how to dream about a good life, not about good things, about a good
Yes.
life. How can I make new friends? How can I be in a position to do something that's going to make my life feel fulfilled, no matter what I'm doing? I mean, I can go into a coffee shop and there'll be a waitress somewhere, and she's got this big smile on her face. She knows where the agenda for everybody in town, it seems like. And she always has this positive attitude. That way just makes big tips, does well. And her family, I don't know, there's something about people with a positive attitude, wherever they are, they can do well. And it makes a
And I
difference.
think it goes back down to purpose and what you're sort of doing with your life in terms of, it's not the results that you want, it's the progression. So if you're growing, there's this saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. So, that's where you get your fulfillment. It's like you're contributing to yourself, you're growing as an individual and you're giving back. And that's the only way I believe really that you will feel truly fulfilled. It's not going to be the new car or the boat or the amount of trips that you take. And I'm a huge traveler. I love it, but there's more to it than that. It's the personal growth that comes through all of life's challenges. You're constantly learning and you're giving back. And that's where there's really that sense of, more and, giving back to society there.
Yeah, it's true. And there's this epic battle going on all the time where we're all sort of dividing each other up. You're saying, oh, I'm
Mhm.
this religion, I believe in this, and this guy doesn't believe in this. And it's like this weird kind of setting up fences for everybody to fail, rather than finding all ways we can all work together and be together and do things and lift each other up. It's a weird world we create for ourselves.
No, and it's so unfortunate because a lot of people are struggling, and you only get through it going through these challenges with other people. And that for me was so important after my treatment, to seek that mentorship, to seek that community of people who are constantly helping, pushing me to become better. And when you surround yourself with people with that mindset, like it's unlimited what you can do, when you find that support group. But if you're constantly surrounded with people who are telling you you can't do this or you shouldn't be doing that, or this isn't the right thing, you become sort of complacent. You stay in your comfort zone and you sort of think, well, I can't do more than that. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So a community, I think, is really huge in that as well too. And what kind of information you surround yourself with can also play a huge impact on your mental health and your mindset.
That's true. There's an old story about a frog's down in a hole. There's a couple of frogs, and the mud sliding in. There's two frogs, and they're trying to jump out of this hole. And there's a bunch of other frogs around the top, and they're yelling. So one frog is jumping, and he just gives up. He says, what are you bothering to jump up and down up there for? He says, you're never going to get out. So the other frog, he just keeps jumping and jumping, and the frogs around the outside are saying, no, just stay down there. It's a waste of time. You're not going to make it. The rain comes, and slowly it melts away a little bit of the hole, and he finally makes it out. And they said, we were telling you you're not going to make it. What'd you come out for? He says, well, it turned out the frog was deaf and thought they were cheering him on. the whole time. So he was thinking, these people are cheering me on. I'll get out of here. And he kept trying because he thought they were telling him to get out. So I thought it was a cute story. And it sort of,
Sorry.
if you put the right people around you and put yourself in the right situations, you can accomplish a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And just a little bit of encouragement too, right?
Yeah,
That can also kind of push
true.
you to do a bit more. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's awesome. It's nice to be able to talk to people who are so positive. I like it. It's amazing. Is there anybody in your life that you find mentors you a bit or makes you feel like, wow, I this person really inspires me?
Yeah, so I started getting actually, I joined a few Tony Robbins events recently, and that really helped me change my mindsets, because I was kind of in a place where, I wanted more out of life, and I didn't really know. I needed a bit of guidance, and through that event, there were so many people that I met as well, and these are the people that I've sort of gone into business with, and we have a mentorship program, and it's really, every single one of these people have gone through their own struggles in their own way, shape, or form, and they're transferring that to other people now. So it's just wonderful to be a part of a community where you're struggling. I'm here, and yeah, I've gone through cancer twice, but I'm not gonna lie, there are days where it's really hard. Like I said, I make a choice every day to get up and be positive and to be strong and to do what I need to do. But it's thanks to having that support system that really, sometimes, you're having a bad day. You just got to pick up the phone, talk to somebody, and just sort of get out of your head. That's all you need. And you're like, okay, I'm good again,
Yeah,
So
just
I think
get
that's
past that first initial, I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, or
yeah.
that's true. What there's a famous saying, it's like a Tao saying or something, where the guy says that the amateurs, they look for inspiration, and the professionals find the inspiration once they're in the work. It's a whole
That's
different
good.
story.
That is very good. I like that.
Yeah, well, it was really I'm glad I got to talk to you. We look forward to maybe in the future we'll talk again if we come across something that one of us gets interested in.
That would be wonderful.
And I thank you for sharing your moment. Is there a place where people can go see your stuff and see what you're doing and different stuff like that?
I'm
Website or
on Facebook. Facebook
okay,
is probably where I'm most active. So under Diana Ash, I try to bring on people, do some interviews with different individuals who have a story to share as well. I try to share some inspirational, motivational stuff that I've gone through. Again, if it can help somebody, I'm more than happy to share it. So on Facebook is where I'm mostly active.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I seen you were doing something with a gym owner the other night. It was quite.
Yes.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's COVID, right? Small
Hmm.
businesses are suffering right now. And it's, how do you get through that? Again, it's about a, mindset and, different strategies, being able to not necessarily put all your eggs in one basket, being creative and finding different ways to, if something doesn't work, you find a different way of doing things.
That's right, for sure. And
Yeah.
like I say, I'm here. So if you ever need to, if you got something you want to get out there, just let me know. We'll help spread the word. And thank
Perfect.
you
Thank you
again for
so much
coming
for
up.
having me.
Oh, anytime. It was awesome. And thank you for helping out and doing things you do.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Thanks. Have a
Okay.
great day.
Bye-bye.